All right. Good morning, Africa. Good morning, the world. Yes, today is another blessed day where we have to talk about the topic that says the effect of entrepreneurship education in good governance and sustainable development. Yes. I want to welcome my guests to Clevenard Open Project where we discuss Africa on behalf of Africans and we raise awareness in your community. So right now we are your mouthpiece at this point in time because presently we are on Facebook Live and we're also on YouTube Live. So I want to welcome you to my platform. Let me start with Mr. Gee. Please kindly introduce yourself and let people know about yourself.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think I want first of all to commend you for the opportunity, for the amazing job you are doing on behalf of our people, on behalf of Africans, not just on the continent, but throughout the whole world. This mission is something that I really adhere to. Again, my name is Guy Joken. Yes, I'm American today, but you are famous where you came from. Okay, a proud child of Africa, Cameroon. Even though I tend to see myself more as a Pan Africanist, because I believe in some of the founding fathers of Africa that we actually wanted, that understood the importance of Africa as a one instead of having 54 different small countries. So my area of work is mostly into international development in the sense that even though I operate here in the United States as the president, chairman of the U.S. National Commission for UNESCO Clubs, Centers, and Association, I dealt with a lot on student mobility, not only between the south and the north and south, but mostly I've been pushing very hard to have what I call South-South cooperation. So I'm really committed to really contribute my part. That's why I also I've been a lecturer in a number of universities around the world where the topic that you are talking about today is really, really relevant, talking about entrepreneurship. So I'm really delighted to spend some time with you talking about this and really hopefully enlighten some of our brothers and sisters.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Before I come to Barrister Philip, let me just quickly give the direct introduction of Mr. Gejoken so that people can understand clearly. He's the president of the US Federation of UNESCO Club Centers and Association, permanent representative of the World Federation of UNESCO Club Centers Association to the United Nations and the executive director of UNESCO Center for Peace. I welcome you to the platform, sir.
Thank you, Daniel. It's my pleasure to be with you.
All right. So, Barrister Philip, yes, you are welcome, sir. I can see you are enjoying the state there. You didn't carry me along, go.
It's well, it is well.
Yes. Okay, kindly introduce yourself, sir.
Okay, my name is Ambassador Wesley Phillips. I'm the president of the Statewide Waste and Environmental Education Foundation. I'm a lawyer, 23 years post-call experience, working steadily the last 18 years uh, as a development worker, as a social entrepreneur, as as an environmentalist, so to speak. And I run the now popular Waste in the City initiative, that's funded by the Coca-Cola Foundation. And recently, here in Atlanta, Georgia, we launched the Time to Recycle campaign. It's a great pleasure to be on your platform, and I hope that one is able to stand on the platform to create necessary awareness and education for the advancement of the cause of our people and the cause of humanity in general. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome, sir. I appreciate you, sir. Yes, so let's also know that today's topic is the effect of entrepreneurship education in good governance and sustainable development. Now, um, let me ask you, Mr. Gay, what actually inspired you? I know you have so much experience and you have engaged in different cultural background, different people. So what actually inspired you to pursue this current field of your expertise?
Thank you again.
How did it start?
Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you again. I actually what you say is taking me back home in Cameroon where I was born. And as you know, um, we grew up in an environment where there was a lot of challenges, and more importantly, the quest for African freedom has been something that I've been it has something has been in my mind from the early ages. As you know, when the independence, when some of these countries, UK, France, Portugal, to a certain extent, and others, were required to free the colonies, to give them independence because our forefather was fighting to get independence. Uh, Many of these countries actually were not interested in a real independence. In Cameroon, for instance, France, that has a good chunk, that was running a good chunk of the country, was choose its puppet. Okay, people that will be there to take away the resources of the country to make it available to France, right? So my father was one of those that was fighting for real independence. And as a result, he was arrested and he ended up in jail. And when he got out of jail, one thing he always told me was he really encouraged me a lot to learn about history. He didn't care. Sometimes I wanted to be a pilot, I wanted to be this and that. He said, I don't care. You can be whatever you want, but it's very important to know the history of our people. And the one thing that he recommended was to really to know that education is the one thing that was going to free us. So, with that combination, I really started very early to pay attention to people like Nelson Mandela, that was in jail in South Africa, uh, and many other who were fighting to have independence in some of the countries that were still. I'm talking about Namibia and some few, even South Africa and other that were actually fighting. Samora Machel in Mozambique and things like that. So we had these people that were fighting, and then uh, I realized at that age that there was something bigger in life, and that was working in the area of freedom and advancement of our people. So that's how I end up doing the kind of thing you see me doing until today.
That's great. Okay, I'll come back to you because there's still some other question I need to ask.
Okay.
Okay, that same question goes to you, my barrister. Yes, I know you have done so many things before you now became Swift Foundation today. So, what actually inspired a lawyer to become an humanitarian today? So, can we just hear about it, sir?
Okay, good, Mr. Ambassador Modi. You see, I studied law at law, and in the course of my study at university, uh, I had some two electives: environmental law and petroleum law.
Oh,
Incidentally, when I did the environmental law, that brought me face to face with the realities of uh, petroleum or crude oil explorations, the hazards, the dangers, the challenges. And the pollutions that came as a result of exploration for crude oil. I saw what was going on. I read about what was going on, particularly in the Niger Delta area of our country. I saw the battle between host communities and the big corporations, oil majors. You know, for example, we read stories, or I read stories of different court actions seeking compensation, communities seeking compensation, and the court ruling against communities because the communities are not able to uh, come up with experts in the areas, especially, for example, seismic operations. When the community alleges that the seismic operations of the corporate or oil majors caused damages to their buildings or caused one harm or the other to them, the court will require expert evidence. Then the oil companies will fly in experts from the from Netherlands, from London, from wherever. And the local communities are not able to come up with, and you need an expert evidence to
Mm.
controvert what another expert is saying. So many times the communities lose out, their compensations are not paid. When they are paid, when they are paid at all, they are so paltry, you know. Then studying petroleum law, I saw issues of oil pollutions resulting from the Exxon Valdez oil spill in Alaska. I read about a lot of things, and I started reading about the United Nations. I heard about the word NGO for the first time while studying petroleum law, and I read about the United Nations and all this Rio de Janeiro conference in Brazil on climate change. I read a whole lot, and I became interested. I will not lie to you. I became interested right
Mm.
from the university. Uh, do what I'm doing today, became a lawyer, and because I already fell in love with the issue of environment, issue of climate change, pollution, compensation, I'm interested in helping to see that when compensations are necessary, and that they are paid, and when if they are to be paid, they should be sufficient. It should not be, you know, in the US and some Western countries, when there are pollution, the communities receive adequate compensation. But when it happens in the Niger Delta area, particularly in Nigeria and in other African countries, you find compensations to be so paltry. So they give them I mean. So I think that was the beginning of my interest in environmentalism and environmental law and sustainability and the circularity journey that I am in today. I think that is the beginning.
All right, sir. And I can see you are really enjoying what you are doing right now.
Very well, you can say that again. It's been close to 23 years unbroken to the humanitarian sector.
All right. Can you tell us exactly what Swift Foundation is actually doing in Nigeria and in some other places currently?
Yeah, Swift Foundation, that is the statewide Waste and Environmental Education Foundation, has been a front player in the waste and environmental sector, especially here in our country, Nigeria. We are interested in that because, like I said, a whole lot of the challenges we notice or I notice in the course of my work is the absence of education, lack of awareness. Even the good book, the Bible, say, how will they know if nobody teaches them? We need to educate people. There is need for education. Some of the challenges our environment and the ecosystem face today is as a result of lack of awareness. Our lifestyles that cause some of the challenges that we see uh, are caused because of lack of awareness, lack of information, lack of education. That is why we founded the statewide waste and environmental education. That word, education. So we go into the nooks and crannies of our local communities, especially our target communities, to educate them, to bring them up to date, for them to understand the cost and the implications of their actions. For example, when is a normal practice in some parts of our country, when it rains, you see people uh, gather their waste gathered over time, then go to the drainages and pour them into the drainages so that the flood can take them away. That action is actually as a result of lack of knowledge, lack of information. The impression the locals have is that when they dump their refuse or waste into the canals and the gutters and the drainages, that that it is taken away. They don't know that it goes nowhere because what goes around comes around.
Comes around.
It ends up blocking the drainages somewhere down the road and causes flooding over there. And the flooding extends to the homes of those who caused it. So I think because of that, we got ourselves involved in, because we noticed, carrying out some studies, we noticed that plastic pollution was an important issue that needs to be addressed if issues of flooding, if issues of health and other challenges that come as a result of plastic pollution. We thought that we addressed. And we started carrying out initiatives, especially to raise all about because help reduce, cover and reduce the rate of plastic population. That's what we're doing now. That we not that we put on a regular basis, maintaining the programs like Lagos Waste Fund to ensure that we take the message through the Lagos Waste we able to take across the state of
I think we're having issues with your network, but it's fine. I think we heard more of what you have said so far. Yeah, thank you so much, Barrister Philip. Let me come to Mr. Gee. I know UNESCO is a very big thing, of course, it's around the world. Can you tell us exactly what does UNESCO do?
Thank you very much. Before going back to that, I just want first of all to thank our brother, the barrister, because again, when I heard him speaking, there was one name that came to mind, and may may his soul rest in peace, Ken Saro. Okay,
Yes.
you know me again. I started by telling you about the importance of knowing our history, and the guy he sacrificed himself for the Ogoni people, and the Dalai Lama says that you are saved, one person has saved the world. Okay, so for me, Ken Saraya didn't just again he was one of the first environmentalists. Again, he was looking at things around, and people were just accepting what he said. This is not acceptable, and he ended up paying the ultimate price. And I think that's something that I think that's when I hear you talking, I can feel him. I can see I say in some ways, I hope he's proud of the work that you are doing. Okay, that's I wanted to say that as we move forward. But again, um, UNESCO, just like the United Nations, is a member state organization. It was founded following the Second World War, as the world was just recovering from two wars that happened in a very short time, and and we had some of the arm race. uh, the reality from the armrest was very scary to many. We realized that there was another third war, that could be the end of our humanity as we know it. So they were struggling to put in place a structure like the United Nations that was going to bring people together and avoid the Third World War. People understood that it was important to tackle a war at the heart, at where it starts. And the thinkers of the days, and even before that, realized that yes, wars begin in minds of people. And that's why it is clearly stated in the preamble of UNESCO that since wars begin in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that the defense of peace must be constructed. So they created an organization that was going to go into mind of people and use the tools that we have, um, of education, science, culture, and communication to enlighten people. Because one of the reasons that the war, the first and second war started, because again, there are people that believe their culture was better than others, right? Uh, we have again, and we know that enlightenment comes when we educate people. Science is a tool that allows us to know our environment, to know that. People we are the same, okay. So this new organization called UNESCO was going to use education, science, culture, and communication to go in the mind of people and create the peace, okay. Mm. So UNESCO, most people know UNESCO as the organization that deal with education around the world. That may be true, but again, it's also the education that deal with science, communication, and there are, um, well, literally, virtually, all the countries around the world are member of UNESCO. Just like the United Nations that has its headquarters here in the United Nations in New York, the UNESCO has its headquarters in Paris. And again, they engage policymakers across the globe, and they work on things that are going to make sure that we grow in an environment where we believe in science, we engage, we use the culture, that not to divide us, but to understand that we are all the same, regardless of where we are coming from. So, and UNESCO as a member state also, there was when it was being founded in 1946, when people were still discussing about the possibility of creating UNESCO. At that time, Japan was not a member of the United Nations. Japan was just lost the war, and there were two atomic bombs that's were from Japan. So they created, they were debating the concept of UNESCO. There's a group of people that witnessed what the horrors of war in Nagasaki, Hiroshima, and Nagasaki. That came and said this concept was too important to leave in the hands of government, because at that time only government has created war. War was at the monopoly of the government. It's not today like we have all these different groups that are fighting, creating war left and right. But at that time, in the history of humanity, actually war was waged by government. So what it came out with concept of UNESCO clubs. And since then, UNESCO Club has become an integral part of the movement, because UNESCO clubs are the civil society, okay, that people like you and I on the field, across the world, that will use those ideals of UNESCO and translate them to program that will help raise a new generation of peacemakers. So we have UNESCO as a member state organization, where Nigeria, the US, Cameroon are all members. But within that, there's something called the World Federation of UNESCO Club, which is a civil society linked to the movement that again use education, science, culture, and communication. So um, again, in a nutshell, that's what I could say. It will take a lot of days if we have to talk about um, all these all things like the World Heritage Sites that we all know. A lot of people know UNESCO about the World Heritage Sites. What are they? Is just each country has something that's so important that we say this does not just belong to us as a country, but it belongs to the humanity. So they make a process to UNESCO to declare that as a World Heritage, that it belongs not just it may be in that country, belongs to all of us as humanity. That's something that a lot of people know about UNESCO. So I'm going to stop here, but again, the most important is that it's a structure that's here to actually conscious to maintain our humanity, okay, through all the tools that I mentioned previously. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's great. Like you said, UNESCO is around the world. I think we have it. We have UNESCO club in universities right now. I want to ask: is there any event that bring people around the world together, organized by UNESCO?
Okay, as a member state organization, of course, there in Paris, in the headquarters in Paris, every November, like last November, the whole world was there during the what they call the General Conference of the UNESCO, and during that time, a lot of things have been done. Okay, um, yes, the international conventions from time to time they organize events that are going to just let's just talk about education, right? But what we need to know is that again, the priority of UNESCO is Africa, right? Because that's where the need is the most. Okay, and from time to time, the regional office of UNESCO is in Senegal, Dakar in Senegal, where they have a major office. But they have regional offices throughout the continent. But that office actually organizes a lot of events. But now I know you are aware of the summer program that we, as here, the U.S. Federation of UNESCO Center for Peace, we've been organizing for the last 15 years, where the last 2 weeks of July, we bring high school students from around the world. They come here, they spend 2 weeks. They do a lot of things. Some we do the Model United Nations. We talked about that in the past. Basically, it's just a method of getting young people to know how decisions are taken at the international level, and some use science, technology, and mathematics, okay, and robotics and arts. So they spend 2 weeks, they learn from each other. Again, it's for us a way to, instead of looking at the world and complaining about all these things, we bring proposition to build imagine we've had more than 5,000 young people in the coming through our program the last I was in the last 10 years. These five students for us are what we call the agent of change. Okay, and they are doing a significant work in there. So among all the things that the organize conference and things like that around the world, I would like to uh, propose the summer program we have here, because for us it has been a great vehicle not only to talk about the work of UNESCO, but to build the next generation of peacemakers that are going to strive to make the culture of peace something that we see every single day.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I think Clevenard will be interested in this, and will want to help partner with you so that the world can see what UNESCO is actually doing. And you also mentioned that you have an office in Senegal that also represents Africa. I think that also sounds interesting because it will be closer to the Africans. Okay, we'll look into that later on. Let me come to Barrister Philip. Yes. What advice do you have for our audience that are inspiring to be like you, ask what you are doing right now? What advice will you want to give to young people that aspire to be like you, sir?
Well, so for young people in Africa, uh, I want them to know that when we say that someone is an overnight success, my personal experience is that uh, an overnight success, it takes like 10 years to create an overnight success, to become an overnight success. Uh, I understand the urgency of now in the mind of our young people uh, to become successful, but it takes some time, it takes processes and procedures for one to become successful in life. Yes, everybody around us, those that know us deep foundation. But 2000 in 2001, I founded Fair Governance International, FGI. Those who knew me in the early days called me FGI, FGI, FGI. By 2008, I founded the Community Agenda for Peace, and I was promoting peace, especially in the oil-bearing communities of Nigeria, particularly special reference. I will have posted several time and name and other documents of community agenda.
Barrister,
can you still hear me?
Barrister Philip, is
Yes.
there anything you can help us do? I think the network is fluctuating, so we hardly hear you.
That is quite unfortunate. Even when you were asking me the last question, I barely was able to hear you. But can you hear me now?
Yes. It's much better now.
It's much better
Yeah.
now. I hear
Okay,
this fuming
I
sound
think
coming from the phone.
maybe you should help us. Can you help us reset your own network while I come back to you, sir?
Please go ahead.
Maybe you help us. Yes, please just help us reset it. Okay, let me come back to Mr. Gee. Um, I know a lot of young people. I know you inspire a lot of young people in Africa, and a lot of people wants to be like you. So, what advice will you give to them?
Okay. Just going back to the topic of the day, which is entrepreneurship. Um,
Yes.
Again, I remember once I was giving a lecture on social entrepreneurship, and people were keep asking me, "What is entrepreneurship? What is all about?" And again, especially social entrepreneurship. And I I tend to say that entrepreneurship is having the capacity of looking at a problem and developing a solution, and through that solution, a solution
Mm-hmm.
that will allow us to raise revenue that will sustain us. Okay, that what I define as entrepreneurship. So, from my perspective, all of us, when we as a human being look at the world, look at the future, it is very important for us to think critically. Okay, and when we think about solution, we look at look at the thing about the first human being that came onto earth. Think about our forefathers roaming in the savannas in Africa, where at every second they could be beaten by a lion, they could be by all these things. So in order to sustain the future, they have to come with creative solution to make sure they could still sleep and be there the next day in order to perpetuate our existence. So that's where we come out with the concept of being an entrepreneur, being able to look critically at a problem and bring solutions, and not one day and think about in a very sustainable way. That's how I define entrepreneurship. Innovation today in the 21st century, talk about innovation. So, as we say, I work a lot with young people. We have some major issues in Africa as you know it, right? And I think each one of us has the responsibility of using the skills that God gave us to bring about a solution that is going to uh, we have you, me, and everybody have the responsibility that by the time we are leaving this earth to make sure that Africa is better than not only how we found it, but it better than what it is today. And that's the way my mind works. So as educating young people, making sure that we understand our history, as I stated earlier today, but making sure that each of us has skills. Okay, some of us are good uh, with mathematics, some are good with statistics, some are good in management, and all these things. But those skills, if you don't apply them, if you don't use them to help make the world a better place for me, and that's why I've been when you called me and told me about the importance of education, because once you talk about entrepreneurship, we are we are talking about critical thinking. We're thinking about a way to address solution in a very systematic way, and when you do that, we are prepared. We are preparing the next leader, the next managers that are going to help us get out of the mess that we are in right now.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me come back to Barrister Philip. I think your network is better right now.
Hmm.
I hope so.
Yes, it's clear. I can even just looking at it alone tells me that it's better. Okay, I was asking you the other time that what advice do you have for young people that want to aspire to be like you?
Yeah, like I was trying to explain, I said that it takes years to overnight, and this is what understand. I understand the essence of now the need to express. I understand the essence of that lifestyle in downtown, qualities that
Okay, it's back
young
now.
people
It's going.
like
You are going in and out.
for. So sorry.
Oh,
But I think all in all, my message to young people is this, that success in life takes process. There is a process to success or achieving success in life. Uh, when young people begin to emulate the wrong person, or when they begin to have the wrong role model, and when entertainers are the only role models that our young people, that's why I'm happy with our brother on this talk. Because through the work he is doing and the one you are doing at Clevenard over there, we are able to model sustainable lifestyle to our young people so that the entertainers and movie makers will not be their only source of inspiration. Because when that is the situation, you'll find out that our young people begin to seek means of achieving success inordinately. But glory be to God that we are here. I want them to understand that life is a process, and there has to be input into life for them to get out the expected output. You understand? So I will say generally for myself and my organization, I didn't just emerge from nowhere. This foundation that is taking the waves today did not just erupt from nowhere. I ran Fair Governance International for about 5 years, and we founded the Community Agenda for Peace and ran it for about another 4 5 years. And before the establishment of a SWIP Foundation, which today everybody hears about. I have been at the forefront of promoting good governance, legislative advocacy, and
let me just take this last question.
I think the
Are you still
network
with
is
us?
very poor from this angle.
Barrister? Yeah, the network is very poor. That's why. So we are rounding up right now. Let me just go back to Mr. Gee. Yes, I know you to be a very busy man, and outside your professional life, what are the hobbies or the activities that you enjoy?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, yes, as you stated earlier, I do a lot. Right now, I don't know for many of you who study, who know about the history of civil rights in the United States. There are a number of organizations such as the NAACP, which is the National Association of Advancement of Color People. That's the movement we heard about that changed the United States really in the sense of changing, putting an end to lynching and slavery. Of course, there are many others, but one of the primary organization. I was president of the Frederick NAACP for 11 years and the vice president of Maryland State, a member of the Maryland Governor Commission on African Affairs, and as you can see, I can go again, but what I'm trying to say is this: my passion is using the time I have to talk about social justice, talk about minority rights. We there's a course I used to teach at the university called the history of civil rights in the United States. That has taught me the same U.S. Supreme Court that once said that a black man has no rights that a white man supposed to respect is the same that came out with what they call Brown versus Board of Education, which actually literally put an end to this segregation in schools. How an organization like that was able to change and learn about the structure, what happened, and then those are some of the things that I'm trying to work with people like you and I so that we can system in place that's going to help us in Africa to change because again, we have that in our veins. We have the capacity of doing that. But we just need to know that we cannot change things overnight, but build a critical mass of people that once we are ready, we could actually change things over. That's my passion. So everything I do surround about that. Working about again building this army for the next generation that I think are going to be on the computer or we're going to be on the field, the next wave of real independence for Africa. We have the first independence throughout the year 60s, but for me, it was not an independence because, again, Nigeria, one of the wealthiest countries in the world in terms of God given natural resources, wealth, and everything else, but look at how his people are living. Talk about the DRC Congo, the wealthiest, compare DRC who has all these natural resources and Japan that has zero. Look at how things are. So my passion is to really help grace people, a group of people share so that we're going to reap a critical mass that really will change our motherland, Africa.
That's great. Interesting. Thank you very much.
My
Okay,
pleasure.
let me come back to Barrister
Barista.
Philip. I know.
I think it's quite unfortunate, but
We can hear you now very well.
oh, you can
Yeah.
hear me now. Okay, let's see what goes. It is season. I can't hear him.
Yep.
I can't.
Barista, go ahead. We can hear you.
Correct.
Just hopefully, yeah, go ahead.
I didn't get his question.
David, can you ask the question again? You didn't hear the question.
I think the network is not really helping matters from his own end.
Mm-hmm.
So let me come back to you,
Let's
Mr.
just
Key.
continue with.
Just give us one word for
him.
my audience so that we end this program.
Okay.
One word for my audience.
Okay. Yes, David.
Are you there? Hello?
Yes, I'm here. You're talking to your control, right?
Okay, at this point, I want to say thank you so much for being my guest today. I think the network is not really friendly with us, but I believe my audience are gained so much from Mr. Gee, the president of the UNESCO, and
Okay.
The network challenge, I think, comes from his angle. Most of what he was saying, I wasn't hearing, but when I talk, you hear.
I can hear you. Yeah, that's another reason why we definitely need to create infrastructure.